Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Leader of the California Senate, Kevin De Leon.
Thank you so very much. It's indeed an honor and pleasure to be here with each and every one of you. Let me say this. Tonight, we are really in the heart of the resistance in the United States of America. And it gives me great pleasure to be here with each and every one of you. Now let me say this, that California is the Golden State, home to Hollywood as well as to Silicon Valley. We are the sixth largest economy in the world, the economic engine that keeps America growing. And we're also the most ambitious laboratory for progressive policy in the nation. Now I'm proud of my state, our state, especially the values that make California the truest embodiment of the American dream. Now let me say this, Donald Trump may have won the presidency, but he has not changed our values as a great state. We will never appease anyone who seeks to undermine our economic prosperity or violate our most fundamental human rights. We refuse to regress, to go back to the politics of scapegoating, preying on religious, racial, sexual orientation, ethnic hostilities, echoing the dark, divisive days of the past from Proposition 8 to Proposition 187. And more than ever, it's vital that we ensure that California remains an embodiment of America, an exceptional example of what can be, especially in an uncertain world. That we in fact double down on lifting people up, and that we defend our progress as well as our people. And that we continue to be a world leader on workers' rights, women's rights, LGBT rights, immigrant rights, voting rights, civil rights, economic justice, social justice, environmental protections, climate action, and access to public education and health care to all individuals, regardless of who you are, where you come from, the hue of your skin, your legal status, and who you love. And let me say to all of you here tonight, to you, to your loved ones, to your family members, to your neighbors, to those who have been bullied, who have been demeaned, who have been downsized, or told outright that they are dispensable just because they're different. The great state of California will stand behind each and every one of you. And that's a principle that's larger than politics or partisanship. In this state, we celebrate who we love. We celebrate diversity. We don't ban it, we don't wall it off, and we don't deport it. That's not who we are as a great state. Because we welcome people of all walks of life, because that's the American life. Because we believe that all women and men are created equal, and that we're all equal before the law. And that we depend on the ingenuity, the work ethic, the integrity of millions of people of every color, creed, in every corner of this earth. So we're gonna have to fight. There's no question about that. We're gonna have to fight like never before. But I truly believe that in America's darkest hours comes America's greatest moments. And more than ever, we have to stand firm to our values, not just for our causes that personally affect us. And what I mean by that is that when we see the LGBT march, the women's march, the immigrants march, the climate science march, the environmental march, we all have to come together as one. One California, one America. and we celebrate the ties that bind us together. That's the beauty. That is the beauty of the garment, is the diversity of thread of every color of the rainbow. And my friends, that's what truly makes America great. Now it's my privilege. In fact, it's my honor. Let's lower our voices now, folks, because we're going to have our last honoree here tonight. A gentleman who came all the way from Washington, D.C., from the East Coast to be with us. Tonight, it is my honor to introduce the Equality Leadership Award winner. Following the election of Donald Trump and nearly 4 long months since the inauguration, our voices have become more important than ever before. I hear you, my friend, I hear you. And as a member of the editorial board of the Washington Post, and as a contributor to the paper's post-partisan blog, as well as MSNBC, Jonathan Capehart was one of the country's most influential political commentators. And before unfortunate events of last November. But since then, he has been one of the most outstanding voices in the nation when it comes to speaking truth to power, when it comes to calling out what he sees, when it comes to making the constructive criticism that is necessary of the Trump administration and its divisive policies. He has taken on some of the biggest fights with his voice, with his pen, and with his personal commentary. As a leader also too, has voiced his opinions on the issue of LGBT, race, ethnicity, and how it tears at the fabric of who we are as a great nation. Jonathan Capehart has had his voice heard as a strong voice of the editorial board of the Washington Post. And through his insight of commentary and through his public strength as an out gay man, Jonathan Capehart has helped not only to familiarize Americans with the LGBT people, but to educate the broader public about the challenges facing the LGBT community. It is my incredible pleasure to bring to this stage tonight our awardee, Equality California Leadership, Jonathan Capehart. Let's give it up for Jonathan Capehart.
Senator, thank you very much for your introduction, for your being here, for your leadership in this state. But I also want to thank you for probably the most important decision you've ever made, and that was hiring Anthony Reyes, a dear friend of mine from Washington, who I was sorry to lose, but he has been so excited being in California and working with you, so thank you for that. The next person I want to thank is the person who gave us 2 incredible quotes this evening. Jazz Jennings, you still here? She's still here? She's 16, so she's young. But I loved her quote. When I started kindergarten in 2006, I was like, baby doll, what, 2006? Let's see, I was in New York, I was 40. And the other one, which is a funny line, but it speaks volumes to the fight that she and her family and so many transgender people in this country are living, and that is, I just wanted to pee in peace. It's a funny line, but it says so much. Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom, I know, came in, introduced Jazz, and left, but you are lucky in California to have a lieutenant governor like him. Michael Dunn, your story was so heartrending. I am very, very happy to see that your son is 13 years old and alive and well. Your Attorney General, Javier Becerra, who I am sorry to see leave Washington. I wish we had more like him in Washington, but the fact that he is here in California helping to lead the fight against the Trump administration, I think is a good thing for California and a good thing for the country. Rick Sburr, thank you very much for having me here this year. I'm actually very happy to be here in the People's Republic of California. Or is it the Democratic Republic of California? I don't know. Either way, I am very, very happy to be here. Now, judging by the speeches, I think I know the answer to this, but I don't know about you, but perhaps I do. The election of Donald Trump as President of the United States. Is that table 27? Y'all gonna have to keep it down. The election of Donald Trump as President of the United States had me believing that I was witnessing the crumbling of our democracy. A crumbling of who we are as Americans, that I was seeing the crumbling of who we are as Americans. That I was seeing just how fragile the Constitution really is in the hands of a chief executive who regards its bedrock principles as malleable clay. Something easily bent and contorted to suit his unconstitutional or immoral goals. But to actually quote a dear friend of mine at mine and Nick's wedding back in January, let's give the president his due. Let's give the devil his due. I want to thank President Trump for this. His gasp-worthy 107-day tenure has been inspiring. The women's marches that swarmed cities across the country and around the world, he inspired it. The nationwide demonstrations against his xenophobic Muslim travel ban that he tries to say isn't a travel ban, he inspired them. The screaming town halls against the first Trump Care bill that forced the House Republican leadership to pull the bill from the floor so that it couldn't be voted on, he inspired them. The furious push to head off a draconian executive order that would have legalized discrimination against the LGBT community, he inspired it. The screaming town halls that the second Trump Care vote will generate. Yep, he'll be their inspiration too. But what he inspired was your action, your outrage, your resistance. All of those actions and the ones to come are what inspire me to write what I write, to say what I say, to lend a voice of support to those doing the hard work on the front line. Organizations like Equality California have been and will remain essential in the years ahead. Work like yours is what gives me the inspiration to speak up for those who can't or won't, to be who I am. As a man, as a black man, as a gay man, as a gay black man. In the jobs that I have, I know that my visibility reminds people that we're here, that we have a voice, and that we are willing to fight. So I cannot begin to express how humble I am to receive the Equality Leadership Award and the recognition that comes with it. Thank you very, very much for this incredible honor and for being here tonight.